Another reason why police were suspicious was the fact that John even told the police that his Christmas bonus for that year, as it was Christmas Day, his bonus was exactly the same as the ransom note asked for. So if that doesn't seem suspicious to you, I don't know what else is. How does something like that happen? Like, what are the odds that the same amount of money that he got for that year was in the ransom note? It's pretty remarkable and a little suspicious as well. Welcome back to another episode of Infamous. My name is Harmin, and today's episode is all about a young 6-year-old little girl named JonBenet Ramsey. And most of you have probably heard about this case, as it's a very, very popular case. And of course, that kind of fits in line with what this series is about. It's an infamous case. So JonBenet Ramsey, 6 years old, she was basically like a pageant model, like a young girl model. That was something that she basically did up until she was killed. It all transpired on December 25th, Christmas Day, 1996. JonBenet Ramsey's body was found in the Ramsey household, and there was a ransom note demanding a certain amount of cash in order for JonBenet's safe return. But it gets a little twisted, and it's not as straightforward as you guys think. So I'm a couple blocks away from JonBenet Ramsey's house, where she lived with her family and her brother. There's numerous theories on what happened and who killed her. Many people theorize that the brother was the one who killed her, or even potentially the mom. But again, it was all up in the air. They really didn't have any major leads. So JonBenet's father, John, was the one who actually found JonBenet's body down in the basement. And apparently it was about 7 hours after she was reported missing. He found the ransom note, he found her body. Interestingly enough, this case is still unsolved. It's one of the few unsolved cases here in Boulder, Colorado, especially one of this magnitude and of this mystery. It's really bizarre because, again, there was no real evidence of like a break-in or anything to surmise that she was abducted, and her body was found inside the home. So of course, many of you theorize it must have been one of the family members. So police reports state that JonBenet, her head was bashed in and she was strangled. Those were the two causes of death. She had like some sort of rope found around her neck. The police initially suspected either JonBenet's mother or her father, John, because the police thought that the crime scene looked kind of staged. And when they looked at the ransom note, they also thought that it looked a little suspicious. Also, the DA at the time finally cleared JonBenet's brother, Burke, from any wrongdoing. At the time, he was 9 years old when she died. And so the DA's office stated that he didn't have anything to do with it. So the original statement that JonBenet's mother, Patsy, made to the police was that when they found the ransom note, it was on the kitchen staircase. The ransom note demanded $118,000, which in today's money, due to inflation, is roughly $192,000, almost $200,000. Another reason why police were suspicious was the fact that John even told the police that his Christmas bonus for that year, as it was Christmas Day, his bonus was exactly the same as the ransom note asked for. So if that doesn't seem suspicious to you, I don't know what else is. How does something like that happen? Like, what are the odds that the same amount of money that he got for that year was in the ransom note? It's pretty remarkable and a little suspicious as well. So even with seeing the dollar amount exactly the same on the ransom as how much John made that year through his bonus, John was saying that there's people within his company that knew how much he made, and that someone got access to his financial records and saw that. And so that was his kind of way of defending how on earth that the dollar amount was the same. So again, believe what you will, but that's what he said. Also, another reason why they thought that the crime scene was staged along with the ransom note was the fact that the only fingerprints found on it were Patsy's. On the night of her death, Christmas Day 1996, the only people in the house were Patsy, John, and JonBenet's brother Burke, and of course JonBenet. So in the basement where they found her body, there was a basement door with like a little peg latched on the door, like, which kind of locked it. And so when the police arrived, they were wondering if it was locked, how did the supposed killer get inside, as her body was found right behind the door. So JonBenet's body was finally found around 1 p.m., roughly 7 hours or so after she was considered missing. She had duct tape over her mouth, her arms and wrists were bound, and she was covered in a sheet. So on the night of her death, there was several windows that were slightly open, and one that apparently was broken. Again, they looked at the outside of the house. They found some cobwebs still in the windows, meaning that no one could have gone through them. And there was like a steel grate, I think, on top. So again, they don't think that that was probable. In 1999, a grand jury was requested to charge the Ramseys with putting the child at risk, which led to her death. Because at that point, they still didn't know who killed JonBenet, and so, just like they don't know now still, but at that time, they still didn't know, and so they decided to charge the Ramseys in 1999, but the district attorney decided that he wouldn't prosecute them as he believed that he couldn't get a conviction based on, more than reasonable doubt. Also, there was some unknown DNA found on JonBenet's clothing, I think either on her pants or her underwear, and the initial findings ruled John, Patsy, and her brother Burke all out. None of their DNA matched the unknown DNA found on JonBenet or her clothing. And so they, again, still were having to search again for a new suspect. Apparently up until this day, in 2020, no match has been found, and the killer supposedly is still out there. JonBenet's mother, Patsy, unfortunately died due to cancer. And so if they did do it, or if they knew someone who did do it, to this day, no one's coming forward with that information. A couple of suspects or theories that the police had was, of course, the parents, like I mentioned. They thought that Patsy scolded JonBenet after apparently she wet the bed, and she hit JonBenet, and it was too hard of a hit and accidentally killed her, and she smothered JonBenet to cover it up. That was one theory. Of course, the other theory is the intruder theory, which some people still think is what happened, and some people think that that is just a bunch of baloney. Some of the early persons of interest was one of the neighbors and another gentleman named Michael Helgoth. Apparently, Helgoth committed suicide right after JonBenet's death, and so, of course, fingers pointed to him potentially as a suspect as well. The house here, the Ramsey house, is located at 749 15th Street in Boulder, Colorado. So if you guys are in the area, you can check it out. Just make sure you see it on the street and not anywhere else. Be mindful of, you know, this is still someone's house now and they live here. But again, this is a nice neighborhood. Obviously, the Ramsey family were wealthy. It's hard to wrap your mind about that theory as well. A guy named John Carr, 41 years old, was in Bangkok in 2006, and he falsely claimed he was the one who killed JonBenet. He claimed that he drugged her and took her body down there to the basement. But there was no drugs found in her autopsy, so again, that was also ruled out.